Welcome back, my dear students. So we got to the point where we are going to be learning about HTTP requests. Okay, so let's get to it. So with Node.js, there are a couple ways of making HTTP requests. And if you don't know what HTTP request, it means just that we are making a request to a server online or to an API somewhere, right? Which is located in a server, and we're getting some data back, and we are responding to that data. We get either we send the response. I mean, we send the request and we get a response back. Okay, so like I mentioned, there are a couple ways of doing that. I'm going to show you how to do it natively with Node.js, meaning that I'm going to show you how to do it with not downloading any third-party libraries. We're not going to be using any third-party libraries. We're just going to use the native um, request functionality with Node. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's create a file here, and let's call this HTTP. Okay, hyphen request.js. Okay. Now, in order for us to use the native, we can either use HTTP or HTTPS. And most of the online domains nowadays are HTTPS. Okay, they have the almost exactly the same functionality, guys. But of course, the S stands for secure. Okay, so we're gonna be making a request to a secure website, or should I say something that has a SSL certificate, right? So let's just say require, and we are going to require this module, built-in module, HTTPS. If we were doing HTTP, we would down get this one, right? We're doing the S, the secure version one. And we're going to be using the file system for this example because I want to actually build some type of functionality in these lectures so that way you can get a good idea on how we can use that. So one of the first things that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable here, a constant for a URL. We're going to be making a request to a website called JSON placeholder. Hopefully I'm spelling it correctly. I wish I had the website with me. Actually, it's not .json. It's typecode.com or something like that. If we get it wrong, then later on we'll fix that. Okay, so we're making a request to this website here. This is just going to have some data for us to pull. But if you want to make a request to somewhere else, or maybe you already have an API somewhere that you can use in your own server, or maybe you can make it to another website that you know, okay, and just make the request, and you should be able to get some data at the end of this lecture from it. So let's use that, and we got this get method here that we can use to get some data out of it. Okay, so let's start filling in the options here. The first parameter is going to take the URL, of course, where we are making that request. And the second, that was the first parameter. The second parameter is going to bring back the response. Okay. Now, one of the good things about doing it like this is that it's simple. You don't have to use third-party libraries. It's just a little faster to do it with built-in modules with Node.js. Um, Now, the problem with this is that it's a little bit verbose. It's just a little bit over. We overdoing it a little bit. There's a lot of code that we are writing, and it's just a little bit more complicated to do it this way. But it's good when you're doing it. It's simpler in the way that it is natively included, but at the same time, it's just a little bit more code to write than using third-party libraries. Okay, so now since we can get the response just like this with our arrow function instead of writing function or doing the little parentheses there, and this is ES6. We're gonna have to set the encoding. Let's see if I have that option here anywhere. I don't, so I'm gonna have to, hopefully I'm spelling this correctly. Okay, we'll find out soon enough. and UTF-8. Okay, so we have to set the encoding ourselves. We're gonna have to create some type of variable here to hold our body. We'll concatenate to that later with the response we get. We're gonna have to hook into this listener. This is one of the reasons why this might not be the best option sometimes, is that we have to hook into this listener and we got to listen for data. Okay, and of course this brings back the data. We don't have to put the parentheses there if we don't want. We just do it like this with the arrow function. It's just simpler. Okay, I'm trying to write less code, guys. So now we're gonna have to concatenate that with the data that we get back. You see that? Now we can use this variable later on. Now you can, of course, eliminate all these lines like this if you want. I'm just doing it a little bit separated there so that way you know what we're doing. But you are welcome to eliminate those lines. Okay? All right, the second thing here that we need, well, not the second, but the second major step that we do here is that we need to listen to when the data is done, okay? What do we want to do with this data once we're done? So we are listening to an end event here. And once that's done, of course, we execute this callback. We can do it like that. Let's use the file system to write whatever we get, okay? And I'm going to create a file. I'm going to call this post, or let's just call this data. And that reminds me that the data that we're getting here is endpoint is post. Okay, so make sure that that's there. If this is not available, guys, do not worry. Just use any other URL and you should be able to get some HTML data or something, or some text. Okay, and if this doesn't work for you, you can copy this file from the exercise files. Okay, and I'm gonna include a copy, and if I forget, remind me, but I'm gonna include a copy of this file, this same file, in this lecture here, so that way you can have it instead of going to the exercise files and trying to look for it. So let's call this data.json, and let's is the body that we want, and let's just say it's UTF-8, and of course we get in that callback just to make sure everything is right. And if error, then we return that error, right? Great. If we were successful, then we just say we just pulled all the posts and created file. Okay. I think this is good. Let's check it to see if it works. Okay. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. If we have an error, we'll fix it right here live, right? Okay. Let's run that file and let's just say node http request enter. And of course we have an error there. It says error event. Okay, is refusing to connect. Maybe this is wrong. JSON placeholder. Let's just check the URL real quick. I'm not sure if I typed in the right URL and I was correct. It's not the right URL. Let's check. Let's inspect it. And that's not it either. It looks like I misspelled it, or you know what? Let's come back. And I can't see it right now, guys, but just take it from here, okay? I couldn't see my arrow. Sometimes I can't see it even if I try to debug it because I'm writing the code and I write a lot of code every day. So this is the right URL. Let's go back and let's just paste it here. I can't see where I did it wrong. Paste it. Okay. Enter. Return binding requests. Huh. Come back here. Let's see what in the world this is. Right string. Oh, okay. This is right file. You probably saw that. Let's come back here, enter, and it says just pull all the posts and create a file. Okay. So we should have a data.json here. When we click it, we see that we pulled out all that information, all that data, all this JSON data, okay, from that API and created this file with it, which is pretty cool stuff because now you have a JSON data here that you can grab and convert to JavaScript objects and start pulling in all this information. Okay, so you can go ahead and pull that data and create objects with it, which is pretty cool stuff. Okay, as a matter of fact, let me show you. Right into the file here, we can convert all that data into objects and display all that. So let's just override that and let's just say JSON that parse. We're gonna parse that into objects now, right? We're gonna use console.log and let's use template strings with a little it's not a tilde, it's a ticks, backticks, that's what it's called. Sometimes I call it tilde by mistake. All right, so here what I could do is, and if I remember the data correctly, oh, I can't reach my terminal. All right, so the data is as a user ID. I want to display the title and the body, right? So that's why I got to find in that body the title and the body. So let's come back here and do the body dot title, right? And I should be able to see something there in my console. Let's see, and you know what, we can create this new line here. Let's just do it like this and see what we get out of it. Oh, undefined. I'm doing something here. What is it? Body. Oh, we need to. This is supposed to. Let's see if. See what the JSON data is. Is an object and is it an array? Oh, it is an array. So we need to access the body 0 and then the title. Let's see. Oops. There we go. Okay. So we got that array there. You see that? So we were able to access that first title there, which is right here. Okay. So keep that in mind that this is an array. Okay. You can, ultimately loop through all of them and display each title if you want. Okay. You can just create a loop here and do that. Super simple. Create a loop. It has an I of index and do that. Create a for each. Create not a for each. Well, actually, it does have an each function. Okay. So I'm not gonna play around with that now, but just this gives you an idea how this is done. Okay. But anyway, so I think that's it for this lecture. There's nothing more that I want to show you here. My main focus was to show you that we were able to do a request using Node natively without using any third-party library, and we were able to grab that data and put it in a file, okay, which was pretty cool, as you can see right here. Okay, this was just a quick crazy example that I gave you here, nothing much. We got to play around a little bit more with that data if you want that data to be in a certain way, right? Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lecture, guys. Take care.